I have been using VR for creative stuff for quite a while now. Adobe Medium, Substance Modeler, Kodomo, Masterpiece VR, Gravity Sketch, and Quill. For most of those apps except Quill, I've been only using it for modeling, and then I bring to Blender to finish it up and actually animate or do anything with it. And that's why I'm so excited about this add-on to Blender, Freebird, because it gives you access to a lot of things inside Blender in the VR space, and you don't need to transfer from one app to another. I can just keep using Blender. But this add-on is still in early development phase. So I'm really excited for what this add-on is going to be able to do in the future, but right now it's kind of limited. So let's play with it a little bit and see what we can actually do and how I can incorporate the current stage of this add-on into my workflow. Okay, so this gives me a pen tool that's very similar to the feeling of drawing in Quill, which I love, but this is not grease pencil. This is a curve, pressure sensitivity with the trigger. So it is pretty cool to use. I'm definitely gonna use this for sketching around. And the best part and a great advantage over Quill, if you're just drawing in Quill, I mean, is symmetry. So I cannot turn on mirror here. You can already so you can start drawing with symmetry here and make things so much easier, right? If I am to use this, I would probably change my viewport colors here from material to attribute, and that's a lot better, but I don't like this highlight. I would probably also go, well, flat would be fine here, but I think if I go matte cap, yeah. Matte cap is a good one because it's gonna give me this flat on the black, but when I add gray with the other tools, it's not gonna be a problem. Like I can still see volume on the other tools, right? But when I do with black on this flat, it feels like grease pencil stroke. So I think they eventually will add grease pencil here, but look at this, like you can really get this going really fast and concepts straight into 3D. Like you can pretty much just draw whatever you're thinking of, and you don't have to guess the volume. You can just use this as a reference for modeling, or you can incorporate this into the actual final model if you're going more NPR, non-photorealistic, and that's where all the rage is right now. Very promising. I wish we had grease pencil, but this is plenty good. And being a curve, I can use geometry nodes to create fun brush strokes here as well. So it's not a big deal. That's not grease pencil. Grease pencil would add a feel, like, especially for animation stuff. If they added here grease pencil and the ability to control the timeline with hotkeys here, I don't see any ways of controlling the timeline here. Maybe okay, you can add keyframe. I think what I would do is take a look at Quill for the timeline, because Quill's timeline is pretty good. It's kind of ugly, but it works really well. But if they could incorporate the grease pencil and incorporate how you control the timeline the same way that Quill does, this would, like, everybody would start using this. Everybody who is a Blender user and has a VR headset would buy this on the spot. Okay, so the other tool that I really like here is this Hull. It reminds me of Tilt Brush has something similar, and Gravity Sketch has something similar. So this, you're pretty much creating volumes as you go, right? Like, so it's similar to the lasso tool in 2D apps, but you're building up. I use this a lot on other tools, on Gravity Sketch, for landscapes, for little mountains and things like that. You can even do like quick trees, like, you know. So you can get some stuff done with this. I kind of want to test, because of how good the symmetry is working here, and I kind of want to test if I can actually do a character with this. That would be great. Like if I manage to do a full character with this as a blocking stage, because it's the most free you can be when modeling, right? Like and just adding things here, and then I go back with the actual tablet to sculpt instead of trying to refine this too much. But and right now, like my workflow is so convoluted because I do things in multiple apps. So if I can block it here, and then I just remesh everything and sculpt in Blender, right? Without having to export anything. And I rig in Blender with Rigify or whatever. And then I use Freebird again for animating. I'm pretty much using 4 or 5 different apps, but they're all like inside Blender. So I'm centralizing and simplifying everything. And man, I actually really like this. The one downside is, which might be a stylistic choice if I do choose to use this, is I can have convex forms, I cannot have concave forms, you see? So the moment I go back in, I lose it because it's like this, it builds but it doesn't retract when building. I could use the edit mode, let's see if this works, edit. But there is no vertices here for me to push. So that's a limitation, but the best styles, the more unique styles are based on limitations. And in anatomy, usually, something that happens is a lot of, so let's say, neck, right? Like we're already here. So let me do just a cylindrical shape here for the neck. And a lot of people draw the neck, let me switch to the pen, like this, right? Because we see, when we look, the perceived curvature of the traps is something like this. We see a curvature there. In reality, if you look at the musculature and the anatomy there, what's happening is instead of you having, and that's for a lot of the human body, you can almost generalize, like there is a couple exceptions that I'm aware of, but usually this type of shape doesn't exist on the human body. What happens a lot is you have one curvature going this way and one curvature going this way, and the skin kind of merges those two. So instead of having this, usually you have this. And this can be generalized because there is only a couple exceptions, like pits, right? Like armpit is one exception because it sucks in like this. The clavicle is another exception, like we have over here, right? Like there is a little hollow spot. This whole thing might actually work out to the benefit of the style instead of a limitation. Okay, edit mode has a bunch of things. We're gonna get into it pretty soon. Shapes. So shapes, you get some basic shapes, you create them kind of locked on the Z-axis, and then you can position. Like you're limited to those shapes, and you can go into edit mode. Let's go into edit. Edit mode. And one thing that I really like on edit mode here is proportional editing. You have the option for proportional editing. So this feels a lot like the move tool on sculpting apps, VR sculpting apps. With the exception that we don't have a smooth tool, right? Like if we had a smooth tool here on this, it would be killer. We don't, but we can, yeah, we don't have smooth, but again, that might be a limitation that might benefit me. It's forcing me to think out of the box and forcing me to actually create a better and more efficient way of building the shapes, because I've been using Adobe Substance Modeler quite a lot, and I don't really like, if you do one wrong stroke, like if you keep going, you can smooth things out, but it starts getting wonky, right? Like when you if you're building shapes, like So maybe I start from scratch again, I delete stuff, or it gets a little wonky and I clean up on sculpting after. But the way I'm thinking of using this, I'm thinking of making my own primitives and keeping them up here as a little library. And then let's say I have different shapes, and I can grab it, resize, and work with it, and then I grab the other one, make sure I leave a copy there. And so that's one way I'm thinking of working, having my own primitives there, and all based on subdivision, so I have way less points to work on. That way, when I go to edit modes, I can just, sorry, I have everything selected here. Okay, yeah, I can better shape stuff by selecting individual points instead of having to deal with the whole voxel mesh the other VR sculpting apps give me, right? It does have a few interesting things here. I haven't tried those yet in my freeze. Oh, this is actually pretty decent. Okay. Inset, so is I don't know. Oh, okay. So I was grabbing with the first trigger, I gotta grab with the grab button here. Okay, that's cool. Okay, I don't know how that works. I gotta figure that out. Okay, the other thing, one mode that we haven't seen here that it's for sure I'm using for my next project. Okay, so pose modes. I don't want symmetry. Yeah, so I can pretty much pose things however I want. Way more intuitively than if I was, like this is so much better than doing it on a screen, because then you can quickly check if balance and everything and get whatever pose. For stop motion style animation and less polished, I don't know, man, like making poses here is amazing. One thing I really wish it had is the ability to use the auto IK here, because then I wouldn't need the. So I'm gonna stop VR for a second just to explain this, because if I go here on the pose options, there is an auto IK feature in Blender, and what that does is now if I move this, it's moving like an IK without me having to rig a proper IK chain, right? Like I grab this, it's moving like I'm positioning the hand and the arm is falling. That's pretty much what IK does. Same here, I'm moving the foot and the leg is following accordingly. I really love this thing, but on the VR mode here, at least wasn't working when I last tested, but I did update it this morning. Yeah, so it doesn't work in the VR mode, but if my rig has IK, it does work. So, so I loaded some pictures of myself here. I do have a 3D self-portrait that I made of myself years ago, but it's way too old. It still kind of looks like me, but I kind of want to revisit that. And I think this might be a good opportunity testing a new tool. Okay, so I got a few pictures of me there. And this is probably gonna be like just a bust, like just a face. So I'm gonna turn on symmetry and start sketching here. So Okay, I decided to do the primitives one first because this is more comfortable. It's similar to what I've been doing so far. So the sketching is similar to what I've always done in Quill. This method is similar to what I've been doing in Substance Modeler. So what I made is 4 different primitives here that I'm gonna duplicate and apply here and push and pull. They're all just cubes with different sharp edges and subdivided like 3 times, I think. So not as cool as I thought it was in the when I was actually looking at the like in VR. So let me turn off the sketch really quick. Okay, not as cool, but yeah, not cool at all. Okay, yeah, it's deceiving because I'm seeing things a little bit different in VR space. Yeah, I think for this style of sculpting, voxel is better. I was kind of... I wouldn't know if I didn't test it, right? So, okay, let's look at the whole method now. I have high hopes for this one. I hope I can get a good result out of this. Because if I do, this might be the method that I'm going to be using for all my characters moving forward. I say all my characters, but let's be realistic, I keep changing stuff around. Okay, with this, I don't necessarily need to do like a full head first. If anything, that might go against me. And because I did the sketch first, I can actually work in parts maybe. So why not start with the nose here and see how it goes. Okay, just trying to figure out the difference between pen and pipe. I think the pen leaves me a lower resolution stroke that I like the look, so I like Okay, so this is the result I got from the VR sculpt using the Hull tool. Turning on wireframe so you can kind of have an idea of what you get. I was trying to decide in between creating a shader that kind of blends everything together and makes this a little bit more presentable, or actually remeshing this and sculpting a little bit just to clean it up more. So I end up doing both. Okay, so this is with an NPR shader that kind of blends things a little bit more. I could have done a better job because you can still see a little bit of a shadow here and some blending, but I think when you're a little bit further away, it becomes less obvious. And I could actually make this work with a little bit more work on the shader level. And this is a very similar shader after remeshing everything and sculpting a little bit. I'm not sure which workflow I'm gonna keep going with, but this sculpt, the eyes got way too big. I have many things I would like to fix here, but it was a very good test. I'm actually really happy with this tool. I'm gonna use this mode with a little bit less detail next time. I'm thinking of using this to block the entire body in a more organic manner and go back sculpting either in Blender or ZBrush depending on what I feel that day. But as far as this add-on goes, Freebird XR, I think it's amazing. I'm definitely gonna keep using. It's definitely worth the $15. Has a lot of room for improvement, but at the current state is very useful to me. I'm gonna use this technique in a better way. I'm gonna refine this a little bit and see if I can get better results. And I can't wait to actually start posing things with this. I think this is where this add-on is gonna shine the most, is posing, but I need a rig for that. Now, my wish list for this add-on, what I hope they add in the future is grease pencil support, because that's gonna bring a whole range of things you can do with animation here with grease pencil and frame by frame. And the way drawing with the lines here work is already very similar to Quill, and Quill is a very powerful animation app. Now imagine the freedom of Quill inside Blender already. That would be a game changer. Add sculpting support would be great, but doesn't need to have support for all the brushes. I think just the grab and smooth would be already enough for me. And because I personally think sculpting with the pen on the tablet is more intuitive for most of the detailing phase, but VR really shines when you're blocking, when you're getting the proportions down and actually getting that first burst of energy, getting the pose and everything. So being able to move and shape objects to get the first silhouette a little bit easier, that would be awesome. Other than that, I think any other improvements are gonna come naturally. I think this is an amazing tool and definitely worth the price. And I hope they keep developing because I love it.